It's so jazzy.
Really? Well, it's chip music.
I like it a lot. Yeah. Takes me back to my Atari 2600 days.
That's what it was designed for, yeah. All right, this is Everyday Ozarkian with John Farmer de la Torre, and I, of course, am David Carr here as a, just sidekick.
Yeah.
Kind of help John as he, does his thing. Travels through space is what I'm feeling like right now.
Well,
Thinking of Atari games,
Our thing this last time was going out. We go out all the time and try to see what people are doing, what everyday Ozarkers are doing. And
we've been really busy the past couple weeks, I know, too. Like we were both in Sato 48. That was a big thing.
That was a great thing.
That was a big thing here in the Ozarks.
Is the Oscars of the Ozarks.
Oscars of the Ozarks. I wonder how long it'll be until we're sued for copyright infringement. But
we know Jeff. Would he sue us? Yeah, people in Hollywood sue each other all the time, and they know each other, don't they?
Yeah, fair enough. No, not us using it. I'm thinking Oscar is going to sue. Those guys.
But
it just rolls off the tongue so well. Oscars of the Ozarks. I mean,
well, just don't say the D word.
There we go.
Disney. Said it. Now we're going to get sued.
Dang it.
Disney's terrible with copyright, suits and everything. But no, Sato was awesome. We had my family had a filming competition, a 5-minute, and it was exciting.
Fun. Yeah,
it was exciting. The music came up. It was well done. I got to commend everybody who put that together. So we'll do it again. And folks, if you haven't done it before, you should try it. You have 48 hours to put together a film from scratch, a 5-minute film.
Yep.
So
it's a lot of fun.
Oh my, it was. So outside of there, went out and kind of looked around about do some filmmaking, prospecting around the Ozarks. And I was passing through Mansfield. Mansfield is where I grew up. It's on Highway 60. It's in Wright County here. And I happened to be passing through there, it was last year sometime, and I picked up the local newspaper there in Mansfield and saw a headline that I had to do a double take. And I was like, what is this? I was just kind of shocked. And I don't know if you recall back, in the 90s, right? Clinton.
I do recall the 90s a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Well, there was a woman named Heidi Fleiss.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
Hollywood Madam. Yeah, so she had a little black book, with
back when people still had black books, little black books.
Exactly.
Now it's all on your phone, right?
Interesting thing there. This should be a technology show because there's so much happening in technology these days. That's very true.
But I can see you still have a little black book, so.
Yes. I have my little black book because my everything I put on my phone, I put it in there, then I never see it again.
That's that's actually, that could be a whole show in itself about all the things that we do that we lose. We put it someplace where it's easier to find, which technically it is. Well, you can go in and find. You could search for it if you actually labeled it and those other things. But
the philosophy organization, I feel like we take notes so we can forget about things, so we can offload them off our brain. But then we may never look at them again. But if we ever want to, they're there. So
well, that's why I like books, though, because I have notebooks where I'll write things down. But it's really easy just to go in there and just flip through the pages real quick. Yeah, and just kind of real quick be like, oh yeah, I was thinking about that, and then it comes back. Yeah, but whereas with the phone, you just don't. I mean, do you open your documents and just flip through them sometimes?
My God. If I go into my iCloud and Mac, trying to talk to Mac and Apple is like trying to talk to, into the void, right? It really never. So notes, like the Notes app or like iCloud, you put stuff in iCloud. It's not searchable from a phone. I mean, this is a trillion dollar company. You think they would come across, figure that out.
You think they should publish a newspaper like the one you were looking at?
I could go on and on about this stuff. It's like, a lot of these really big companies, if you have a problem, they refer you to their community board, which is a bunch of people who don't know how to solve the problem, recommending how to solve the problem. The blind leading the blind.
Once in a while, they'll have an expert come on and try to answer it.
Which, is he a company expert? I have no idea, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I had this actual physical newspaper because some little towns still print them. Yeah, and some little towns have 2 newspapers. Incredibly.
What?
Yes, I'm trying to remember which town was that. Somewhere here in the Ozarks. So I was like, how does this little town have 2 newspapers? But they do. Maybe it was Van Buren. I'm trying to think. Maybe somewhere out there. Anyway. Heidi Fleiss, Hollywood Madam, with her little black book with lots of people's names, and all these people were scurrying, hoping their name didn't come out in public because, as a madam, she was providing services. Anyway, so
this is before the internet, really. So
it was. This is when the internet was just starting to happen, and so. There's been documentaries about her. She's kind of a sort of a celebrity. She dated Tom Sizemore, who was in Saving Private Ryan, and he died recently. And anyway, sort of a character, right? But apparently she loves birds. And I guess since her Hollywood days and her, running her ring, She'd been living in Tennessee and had these macaws.
Okay. Tell us, what is a macaw?
A macaw is a type of parrot.
Oh, okay.
A very expensive parrot. Colorful and about $10,000 a piece.
$10,000 per macaw.
Per macaw. And she had bunches of
them. And I
them.
imagine that the upkeep on that is probably really expensive too.
Well, you can put them in cages, which she does not agree with. Okay. Sure. Or you can let them fly around. Fly free range.
Like on your property or inside like
your property
huge bird cage?
No. I mean, just free range everywhere.
Interesting. And she's not worried about them like flying away and never coming back?
Like apparently they come back, I guess. But
and if you have food, I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend that I know. His name's George. Well, you know George Crone. But he's getting into falconry.
Oh,
he was
that's
talking about how
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a falcon, of course, not a parrot, but. He was talking about how you have to train it to come back, and you're supposed to train them to hunt. So it's supposed to go out, kill something, and bring it back, and not eat it. And they do that because you train it from when it hatches or when it's a young bird to when it comes back to you, you give it food, and so it just learns to come back and not necessarily depend on you, but knows that if it comes to you, it'll have food. But he said, every once in a while they'll just fly away, and that's just what happens. That's the risk of doing falconry or any sort of any free range animal sort of thing. They may just go away and never
I wonder, does he chip them for when they do?
He's starting out, so he's not like super far into it. He does have his license. He's starting to he's getting ready to catch his first couple birds and stuff, but he hasn't said anything about chipping.
I wonder if they're expensive.
I would be interested to know if like some of the falconers do. And actually, the way he's doing it is he's doing it to help ensure the population keeps growing. Because one of the things that they'll do is they'll go out and grab a bird after they hatch, but before they're old enough to fly.
Yeah.
And then they'll make sure that it grows up and becomes an adult, and then they'll just release it back into the wild when it's an adult so that it's past all the diseases and it's grown up enough. And if it was having issues, they take to the vet and make sure that it's healthy and stuff. Then it would help continue the bird population, the falcon population.
Wow. Well, falconry is an intense sport. I mean, as a sport of nobles. I mean, it's a very old one too.
Well, and some people think that was one of the first animals used for hunting. We think about like dogs and things of that nature.
Oh, there's lots of different cultures around the world that have used birds to have these symbiotic relationships with birds.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. Send a falcon out to grab a couple rabbits in a day. They're going to do much better than you are. You give them a little bit of food, they bring you 4 or 5 rabbits. I mean,
or be like the Dutch and use eagles to like hunt drones.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I did see that.
It's like, I don't want that drone flying over.
This is me adding in some flavor to the story. So back to the macaws, though. So the macaws will come back like these falcons. That is interesting.
Well, as far as we know, I mean, I assume they do. So she had these macaws in Tennessee, but some Yahoo shot one of her macaws with a pellet gun.
Yeah.
And so she got it up in arms, and then she's like, well, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to Nevada. Well, I guess it's kind of confusing. Maybe she had some property in Nevada, but she had macaws there too. But the neighbors in Nevada were cool about it. They weren't shooting her falcons, but she got worried about all this kind of stuff. And she said, I'm moving to Missouri. I'm moving to Mansfield. I'm going to open up.
The middle of nowhere.
I mean, basically. Well,
Which
it's
in Southwest
interesting
Missouri,
because
there's a lot of people around here, but Mansfield is one of those places where it's like a 1 street, maybe 2 street kind of town, right?
Well, I got some video for if you guys want to use it for this show of rush hour in Mansfield. And this is one pickup truck coming, driving down from far off.
It wasn't the Amish, 4 or 5 Amish carts backed up.
No. It's probably one of my old friends, probably from high school for all I know. But, it's funny because, I mean, this is a total aside, but very, very long Main Street.
Yeah.
When we were teenagers, that was everything. Because we could cruise up and down that, and we did. And, anyone who could drive would have about 10 teenagers packed in their car, and we would go up and down the strip.
I was going to say, please explain cruising. And I don't want to say this because when I was younger, it was kind of something that would still happen.
Yeah.
You go out and you would cruise around the square or something like that. But then they started enacting a lot of no cruising laws, especially in Springfield and areas. So how would this work in these small towns? What was the cruise for?
Well, the cruise is mostly to see and be seen. If you're in high school and you're, like Mansfield's a population 1,200, so not a lot of nightlife, right? And so on the weekends, a couple of your friends might have a car, that finally managed to get off the cinder blocks and was running. And it was, because that's usually the way it happened, from like 14 to 16, you work on your car and it's out behind the house on cinder blocks. And, at 16, you like fire it up and figure out some way to pay for your insurance.
A rite of passion.
It totally is. And then you're very popular. Now you've got, it could be like, it could be a car that's like, about to fall apart into pieces, right? But
at least it goes places.
You have one, yeah. And so you pack in with all your friends, and literally there'll be like 5 guys in the back seat and 4 in the front, and 9 of you in the car, and you go down the strip and turn around. And in Mansfield's case, you go all the way down to the end of town, the edge of town, which is where the old steel plant was at, and there'll be basically a roundabout there, and everyone would turn back and go to the other end of town, and it's about a 2-mile strip.
Pass each other all the time and yell at each other, maybe throw water balloons at each other. Who knows, right?
Yep, you used all the money you had for the gas.
So now I'm just imagining this lady going up and down the strip with her macaws following her.
Well, this is the thing: is like why would she pick this town? And then she picked it
because Hartville is the center of the United States. So why didn't she go there, right?
Well. I've always wondered. I find it a fascinating question. How do people find these little towns?
Yeah.
And all the people have moved into that area, and they're real estate agents, and that's how I heard about one of them in this story, because you have to wonder, how did she find it, and how did the media find out about this? And did Heidi Fleiss's press agent drop a story, or did the realtor spill the beans? I don't know the realtor. I'm not trying to give her a hard rap. But anyway, a lot of times Californians or West Coasters, looking for cheap land, and if they are they leaning a little bit politically conservative? They want to be someplace with less regulation. At least this is the sort of stuff you see in the media, and that's what she said herself. Is like, I want to hang out with people who are like me, and I'll don't want
to go to Texas where it's even less regulated, but still want to be in a nice place.
That's a good question. Why not Texas? But anyway, she found it and was going to set up shop on this road leading out to Hicks Cave Road.
Yeah,
it's a dead end road. That should have been a sign, right? But got a property right across from the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum.
Oh, cool.
Well, it depends. I mean, Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum is the only game in town.
Yeah,
in that town.
Everybody's going to go there, of course.
Yeah, so now you got like Heidi Fleiss setting up a Macaw reserve right next door. Competition. Anyway,
I wouldn't see that as competition. I'd see that as something that would help complement each other.
Well, I went to the
because they're two different things. They're two different things.
I went to the museum yesterday to ask. So I was there at the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum.
And what did they say? Yeah.
Well, I asked, what's Heidi like as a neighbor? I was like, oh, Heidi didn't move in. I was like, well, why? What happened? Yeah, I said a bummer, right? Anyway, their theory is that it may have just been a publicity stunt. I don't know. I mean, there's some.
Does she still own the land?
Well, apparently she had the realtor working everything out, and I don't know how far they got on that. Nobody knows. I mean, and so I will reach out to Heidi Fleiss herself and see what she's got to say about it. But here's the thing:
you'll hear it here first.
Yes, we're doing some journalism here, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'll reach out to Heidi Fleiss's people and see what they say. Maybe they got something to say. And I have another question for them, and this is probably the biggest question in my mind. And you can tell me what you think. So Missouri is technically classified. There's a whole climate classification system called the Köppen classification system. Climate classification system. Missouri is classified as a subtropical humid zone.
Seems like it'd be good for a parrot.
Yeah, for a parrot, and it's got lots of foliage and lots of places to hide, and for the birds can hide and so on. The problem is, as all of us from the Ozarks know, as the months of November, January, February are not really great for tropical birds, I would think.
No.
Especially free-range birds that she does not want to put in a cage.
Right, but she was in Tennessee doing this. It would be worse in Tennessee, wouldn't it?
Maybe they got a pocket of tropical winter, geography there that I don't know about.
Well, what's going to say, there was a funny, what was it? There was in Madagascar 3, the movie, there's a point where the penguins are like, they're getting rich, right? And they're like, oh yeah, now we can buy a solid gold plane. And the smart penguin's like, but sir, that wouldn't fly. And he's like, we'll be rich. Physics don't apply to us. So that's what happened here. Right? Rich person will come in and weather doesn't apply to us. Which is actually, that's where I was asking about, like, if it was going to be enclosed somehow. Like, because if you built a big, like, say, a glass dome, right, and cover an acre or two, that's still plenty of space for a parrot. It'll still give you a really nice reserve.
Sure.
And maybe,
And then maybe the thing is if the parrot...
Maybe they were trying to find
a... macaw walks in to the warmth, in the winter, that's not, capturing or caging. Because that's her whole thing. Is like they should not be captured, caged creatures.
It's like the snowbirds that go to Arizona. All the old people that would Anytime in the wintertime, people leave the cold and go to the warm. Yeah. Maybe she was looking for like a sinkhole, though, and she could have made like a subterranean preserve for all these. Anyway, there's a lot of sinkholes in Missouri.
I do not know, but I'm going to get the answers.
Please do, because until then, I'm going to make up a whole bunch of really weird. She's going to make a big rocket farm like Elon Musk. Who knows?
Doing something back in those woods.
There we go.
So anyway, that's the Heidi Fleiss story. Heidi Fleiss is coming to the Ozarks, to rural Missouri.
That's just interesting.
It was an odd pick, and I do think.
Did the Laura Ingalls Wilder people say anything else about while you were there? Like,
no, not really. Just that they didn't understand it. They thought it was a publicity stunt in the end. And and I asked them what would have come of it if she had been a neighbor. They would have worked together. Or, I mean, one's very wholesome. Although Little House on the Prairie. Although I hear Michael Landon, the actor, was not so like.
I have no idea. I tend not to delve into those things.
Oh,
I try to separate the performance from the actor.
That's probably a good thing with a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
So anyway, who would have guessed?
Yeah.
We got other celebrities,
really
but I will say a lot of that part of, folks I grew up with there too. When I was growing up, there are a lot of people from other parts of the country who come to the Ozarks to do something different and do things their own way.
Yeah. I think that's why our culture, I think, will stay the way that it is.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we may have a lot of influx from, places all around the country or around the world, but they know that they come here because people are independent. They like to do their own thing, but they still help each other out. But, we're Ozarkians.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I have another story coming to you next time. We'll talk about trains and stuff.
Oh, exciting. As we were coming in here, there was a train passing by this building.
This is a good story about trains. I'm really hoping that BSNF Railroad will press agent will get back to me on this, because
ask if we can go on a train and take some video.
I would love that's a good one. Let me find out. I'll find out for you. But it's a good positive story about trains instead of them blocking us all the time and making us late for work. So BSNF, you want to do this story.
I love it.
All right. We'll see you guys all later. Take care. If you see any macaws flying around in November or December or February, let us know. We'd like to know where they're hibernating or roosting.
Take us back to the secret hiding place.
I'll let Heidi know, or
Heidi Floss.
Connect with her. All right. Take it easy, guys. Be well.
Thanks again for listening to Exploring the Ozarks. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our social media channels to help us keep exploring the stories of the Ozarks. If you're looking for more ways to support our show, we have sponsorships for businesses and Patreon for individual supporters. Check the links in the description for more details. Thanks for your support, and keep exploring the Ozarks.